Welcome to the Windy City podcast. You see my guy right there, Alex Shapiro. I am Kenneth Davis. We're still living high off the hog, or just high in general, or old school gay. All right. As far as jolly,
we're holly jolly. We're holly
jolly. Because we're not gonna be upset. You know, there's only a few times that you can be happy that the football team that you follow is having a successful season and then has a prove-it game and bashes in the reigning champs. Like literally bashes them so hard that much ballyhooed defensive tackle Jalen Carter's shoulders are all out of whack. They whacked his shoulders all out of whack. All right. He had to get a procedure. That's how bad they were out there dealing blows to the Philadelphia Eagles last weekend. Of course, we're going to talk about the Bears' trip to the frozen tundra to Green Bay to face the Packers who are actually playing pretty well right now. We're going to get into a little question from Tribune Scribe. We love to look at Brad Biggs' Q&A, one of the best writers that follows the Chicago Bears here within the city. The first question is, could or will Ben Johnson win the NFL Coach of the Year? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And Alex is going to break down to us who is playing or who may not be playing when the Bears do travel up to Green Bay to face the Packers this Sunday afternoon. Alex, how are you doing?
Like you said, I'm holly jolly, man. My wife and I, my wife who grew up Catholic, we celebrate Christmas in our home. Even though we are Jewish, we got our Christmas tree today. That smell, that pine
you got
smell
your tree
wafting up.
I'm getting mine probably next week. I'm happy you mentioned that. I just to get everybody into us with Christmas, I would playfully be bah humbuggish. And one year, maybe 7 to 8 years ago, Afton's auntie, they messed up her tree and sent her the wrong one. So she sent but they gave her the one she desired or purchased, and then she gave us it wasn't messed up. It was fine. It just wasn't the tree that she desired. And we got it.
It was like a Douglas, not a Frazier.
Exactly. That's exactly it, right? And and I grew up with live trees, real trees, right? So it gave me the spirit of, man, this is dope. And now Kelsey can't live without it. So, of course, I have to go. Wait. So was yours delivered or did you go get it?
We go to Home Depot. We used to go to like the tree farm thing that would be out at the school. But man, those are expensive. So, dude, they're like a third of the price at Home Depot. So we are now Home Depot tree. We're still live tree people. So like I said, I became a Christmas tree guy after marrying my wife because Christmas is important to her. So we started doing it. But my one compromise is like, all right, if we're going to do a Christmas tree, we got to do a real one. Like, let's go all the way. So we did it from the farm place for a little bit, real expensive. So for the past few years, we've been getting them Home Depot. So we have our Frazier fir. It only costs us $60 at Home Depot. They're very helpful. They slice it. They help you tie it on your car. It's real nice. And it smells wonderful. It smells wonderful.
Real quick, and we're going to get into the Bears. Give us 2 minutes. So I was dropping off my mother a few days ago, and we went past the tree place on Stony Island. Right, it used to be where this years ago used to be where this car wash is on 95th, but now it's like on 94th at the corner. And always have little banter with those guys or whatever. But what you said, you're not paying under 130 basically. Right. And I'm saying that's not for what you want something nice. You're going higher than that. So I told my mother, like last year, we fell into one at Lowe's and we were like, whoa, look at the prices here. So I'm definitely going back over to Lowe's to check that out. But and the kid didn't know what he was doing. That was trying to. It was so cold outside, and he kept trying to tie it. And I just was like, "Man, go, this young man, please go. I'll take care of this or whatever." But yeah, all right. So that's it. So real quick, let's jump into the coach of the year. The Bears head coach Ben Johnson has had one of the best seasons I think any of us have seen in a minute, and I want to paint that. All right. I want to paint that narrative. I feel, and anybody correct us, let us know in the chat how you feel about this. I feel the foundation. And one thing I think that we've always talked about on our shows is foundations. Because you can build a house on a faulty foundation, and the house can look nice, and in 10 years, that bill comes from, hey, your foundation it's split, it's messed up, and I feel like this foundation, one, because the trenches and primarily the offensive line is set. This isn't smoke and mirrors, and you're doing it without protecting your quarterback, let alone you're doing it without having a formidable run game. That's set here. So that's something that speaks volumes about what they could perhaps do to the future. And also, and this is an early kind of opinion. When you look at O-line coach Rochar, it kind of also tells you what they may be able to do with other offensive linemen in the future if they can continue this style of play and it's teachable and they have the style of player that they want. Because clearly you see with the guys that they brought in, they have a style of player that they desire. So that's what I mean. So like when you look at Matt Nagy's first year, and that's with trading for Khalil Mack. Yeah. Right prior to the season started, and just how it blew up. The foundation in some ways wasn't truly set, and Khalil was the nice part of the house. It was like, wow, this kitchen and bathroom is nice right now, right? But your foundation wasn't set, and I feel better about this foundation moving forward. Also, knowing that this coach has a style of play, this one would kind of fall in line with Lovie Smith, and I think he could be a better coach. I'm not going to diss Lovie Smith, particularly because of how he assisted us as the Texans head coach, but let alone how he was here as the head coach. I think he can be better because, one, he's an offensive coach in an offensive league. Lovie was a defensive coach in an offensive league. And also, he calls his plays. Lovie gave that to different defensive coordinators.
Yeah.
Well, this guy is still doing that. So I look forward in the future to see, can he surpass what Lovie Smith did get to a Super Bowl. Lovie Smith made it to playoffs, but definitely missed like 4 of the last 5 years or something like that, or maybe 5. I want to see more consistencies, particularly where you're entering the playoffs in your rookie season as a head coach. So I just want to set that up to why I feel good. Also, I've always wanted Ben Johnson to be the Bears head coach. I'm always going to say that. And if he fails, come back and talk crazy to me and say, Ken, you didn't know what the hell you're talking about. And I'm just going to be like, I guess I didn't. That's just how it goes.
I think the Lovie Smith comparison is interesting. I do think it's interesting. I kind of want to dig into that a little bit because Ben Johnson has certainly had more instant success than Lovie Smith.
Yes.
His instant success has been like Matt Nagy. Now, you're absolutely right. Matt Nagy, it obviously was a house of cards. The trade for Khalil Mack was a catalyst, a spark plug, and then they doubled down on that by bringing in Robert Quinn, right? And it's like, okay, we got the pass rushers, so the defense is set, and that defense, once Vic Fangio left, Chuck Pagano kept it going a little bit, but then it fell off. And I think the big difference is the quarterback. That foundation of quarterback, Mitch Trubisky, Matt Nagy was never able to figure it out with Mitch Trubisky. We're seeing signs that Ben Johnson is figuring it out with Caleb Williams, but that's what it's going to come down to. And what's interesting about Lovie Smith, who that's what you're after, right? That's the sustained success.
Right.
Bears probably shouldn't have fired Lovie Smith in retrospect after a few solid years. I mean, I think it was time to say now.
It was time. It real quick, and I want you to jump back in. When you look at the fact that they didn't have that stable success, so Lovie, he may have missed the playoffs some years, but then you did make it. But also, the problem was Lovie established a culture. That's the real problem that the Bears really missed, where players were holding players accountable. And the Bears really haven't had that sustainable for a long period. Yeah. Maybe early in Nagy's regime, I would say on the defensive side of things, but they really – even when you hear some of the things with Mitch telling them to turn the TVs off, it was stuff where the culture wasn't right. And that's where I'll say, to your point of getting rid of Lovie really hurt them. They didn't find a culture setter after having Lovie. And perhaps we think, but see, we have to see Ben Johnson go through some bad times to know, can his culture withstand that? So even though Ben Johnson, reality is reality. We have to see him come back from having a successful season. Will their heads be too big? Will they learn? Can he implement 2.0 as the head coach compared to being the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions? We have to see all of that. And even being a fan, we keep it 100 here. That's just how we do on the Windy City Pod. All right. It's hunting and facts
But
all day long.
Yeah. It's interesting because there are ways in which Ben Johnson is really similar to Lovie Smith, but then obviously they're very different in other ways as well. Lovie Smith was big accountability, disciplinarian to the extent that like loafs were a thing, right? I know people are kind of sick of hearing about loafs because it didn't work out with Flus, and Flus was a big loaf guy, the pluses and minuses, grading each play. That's the same school of thought that honestly Lovie Smith was using, grading each guy's, not walking by mistakes, holding guys accountable when they did make mistakes. He did it differently though. Like he was very even keeled, same guy all the time. Players loved him, right? Players loved Lovie Smith for that accountability, for that understanding, that consistency. Ben Johnson similarly holds players extremely accountable. I don't know that they're doing loafs in the exact same way that Eberflus and Lovie Smith are doing loafs. I don't know that, but he is not walking past mistakes. He is holding guys accountable. He is consistent. He is that same guy. And it seems early on that players are responding to it. Now, Lovie Smith, I don't think ever in a billion years would have taken his shirt off in that locker room, getting all hooting and hollering and shouting at the top of his lungs and flexing. That's not Lovie Smith. But, so it's like they are similar in, I think, the important ways. I think they're similar in the important ways. And I think the way in which they each deliver their message, and time will tell still with Ben Johnson. But Lovie Smith was authentically Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith was genuine. Players can see through that stuff immediately. When you're trying to put on airs, when you're trying to be somebody you're not, when you're just trying too hard, I think players can see through that really quickly. So Ben Johnson so far seems authentically himself, authentically intense. So it doesn't matter to me as much how that message is getting delivered, as long as Ben Johnson is doing it the authentically Ben Johnson way. And I think they're similar in the right ways of that accountability. So I think it's really interesting that you brought up Lovie Smith right off the top, because obviously, again, Lovie Smith has been the most successful head coach for the Bears
since Dickham.
Yeah, since Dickham. Exactly. And they've been looking for that consistency ever since. Now, as it relates to his chances to win Coach of the Year, which I know you're kind of driving at, he's got a great case, obviously. Like the turnaround has been noticeable. The Bears are winning in ways we haven't seen them win since Lovie Smith was around. They're starting to get that feeling that if they have a chance in the fourth quarter, they're going to pull it out, and the quarterback is playing well. Ben Johnson's got his fingerprints all over all of that. But we can have a little bit of tunnel vision in Chicago because it is the city's team. It's what we're watching all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There are obviously a lot of other coaches, including first-year head coaches, including some who I thought would be great fits for this team. We're also doing bang-up jobs. Mike Vrabel. You mentioned it offline beforehand. The odds-on favorite. He's doing incredible work in New England.
-225 in Biggs' article. He's getting this from Fanatic Sportsbook. Go ahead, Alex.
Okay. In my opinion, doing it with a less talented roster. The Bears have all sorts of talent. DJ Moore is not Demario Douglas. Their tight ends are not the Bears' tight ends.
They got Booty and Diggs. They got our running back that they got in the draft. Now, I'm with you, but I'm going to be the mean.
They did get TreVeyon Henderson.
They got
TreVeyon Henderson.
They got Will Campbell, even though he's out now, right? We've been searching. But you're right. If we're being honest, the Bears have more when you're talking about top-end talent. Maybe some of it's not healthy. All right. But when you're talking about the receiving core, the Bears receiving core is better. I would say Hunter Henry, he had his day. Tight ends may be kind of even, but you have tight ends that can do more when you look at what Coastal Leveling can do, and they're only scratching that. Running backs, I mean, TreVeyon Henderson is nice, and you look at what he can do in the passing game also. But you're still right. If we're looking on paper and you looked at these teams, and I said, well, which one? And let's take away the names of the team. So you don't know one is the Patriots and one is the Bears, because you'd be like, the Bears may bear. And the Patriots, hey, it's a chance. Hey, the Patriots, right? If you look at that, which one of these teams could get to 11, 12 victories? you would probably look at the Bears roster. And if let's just say we only put ratings on the players instead of their names,
Right.
you would probably take the Bears roster. So you're right. Mike Vrabel at this point probably deserves to be number one, not in my heart though. Because I'll say this. Let me help Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, yes, Mike Vrabel was taking over for Gerard Mayo being a rookie head coach who was trying to fix a lot of things that Belichick left and just the cupboards were bare or whatever. And then you have a rookie head coach. And then, of course, Mike Vrabel is free, former player for New England Patriots, already an established, successful head coach. But also this, too. And one thing we don't talk about, I mean, me and you've talked about this. Josh McDaniels, people keep forgetting he has Josh McDaniels as his offensive coordinator. And that's crazy when you're talking about one of the better offensive coordinators, and he keeps getting to go back home, too. He's like this is the third time, this is the second time he returns after a head coaching failure. And I'm not even saying that to knock him. One, I like the fact that he's like, you know what, that's my spot. I'll go there, and they keep the doors open for him. But he has you have a head coach who's already been established in Mike Vrabel, right? Who's always been successful with the Tennessee Titans. And then he has a former head coach and one of the best offensive coordinators in the league over the last 15 years in Josh McDaniels. So that too, when we talk about, okay, the players that the Bears have, but let's talk about the coaching staff that Mike Vrabel has at his dispense also. I just want to put that out to help my guy, Ben Johnson, get some more votes, all right, to people that are poo-pooing his chances and leaving him at number 2. Not you, but just, the odds makers.
No, it's fair to mention the Josh McDaniels of it all because, right, like one of the detractions that you can make for Ben Johnson is, okay, the offense was a little bit slow to come together, and really it's that defense has been running the show. So Dennis Allen deserves a lot of credit for the shine that Ben Johnson is receiving, but you can absolutely make the same argument about Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. So, I mean, both, I think, are deserving of all the fanfare. Mike Vrabel might have a little less, but here's the other thing to mention. These betting markets are fickle. They're fickle. And we were talking about this right before we started hitting record. 5 weeks ago, Shane Steichen was a lock to win Coach of the Year. And then, bam, they lose one game to the Chiefs, and all of a sudden they don't look like the juggernaut they are. And now Shane Steichen is what, Kenneth? How far is he down?
He's number 5 in this Fanatics poll. So everybody, real quick, Ben Johnson is plus 240. Mike McDaniel, Seattle's head coach, is plus 650. Carolina's Dave Canellis is plus 2,200. And Shane Steichen is the same, plus 2,200. Brian Schottenheimer's plus 2,500. And Liam Cohen of Jacksonville is plus 2,500. You have Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay pulling up the rear. Also, I want to say this. If we look at teams' records over the last 3 seasons, who had the better record prior seasons? Who had the better record, the Bears or the Patriots? And I bet it was probably the Patriots until last season had a better record than what the Bears had. It's just as far as I'm just trying to say the dysfunction. Yes,
you're talking about the 3-year trailing,
yes,
3-year trailing records. Okay,
because it's the context. Because when we're looking at this, we're looking at 2 teams. Or let's just throw Steichen in there also, and the other coaches in there. You're looking at teams usually, coaches who are taking over teams that were horrible the season prior, because that adds to the context of why they deserve this. Is look at where they were before and look at what he's done today, right? But I think when you kind of contextualize it, you have to look at a larger scope of, because let's just say a team, let's just hypothetically, like the Eagles, how hard they are, they will fire a Super Bowl coach if he has 2 bad years, right? But if you look at their record, it's not going to look like, damn, he deserved to get fired. Their standard is so much higher. You know what I'm saying? But so that's what I'm trying to say when I'm saying let's expand the records, because I feel like the Bears had a lot more to overcome. I know Belichick can be Belichick, but you still know there was a culture there. He ran aground being the general manager. Like that was the real problem with him, is he needed to take his hands off of being GM, right? And then bring in some guys who could see into the future as far as what's next with play calling or whatever. So that's kind of what I'm saying. When you look at the Bears, their culture was terrible. I mean, when they fired a head coach during the season. I know that that's common in the NFL, but that's not common when it comes to the McCaskies. So like, that's what I'm trying to point out when I'm saying, like, add the context to it as far as how bad the Bears were, not just last season, but how bad they've been over the last 3 or 4 seasons, really.
Yeah.
Really, you could go back to 2019 if we're really being honest. All right.
No, absolutely. I'm with it.
Yeah. That's all I just wanted to say.
I mean, there's a great case to be made for Ben Johnson. I want to talk a little bit more about Shane Steichen because I think he's also done a bang up job. Mm-hmm. Also, as it just relates to the quarterback and really coaching for his life, right? I mean, so Shane Steichen takes that Colts job in 2023, and that was also the year they drafted Anthony Richardson, correct?
Yeah, me and Josh were like, he played was it 12 or 13 games? Like, he played so few. Yeah, but I'm in college.
Oh, in college.
Yeah, in college, he was like Mitch, but he made it play the game. Like, he played so few games, and to try to say we're putting it all on him because we saw what you did with Jalen Hurts. Yeah, that was too far for me, a bridge too far for me, to be honest. Sure. And I'm not saying that I wish early on success, but I didn't see it.
Early on that rookie year, it looked like there was something there, and then he got hurt. And then 2024 last year was kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
And that was a hot seat. That was a hot seat. And Shane Steichen makes the move of the year. Like, they decide to bring in Daniel Jones to compete with Anthony Richardson. They somehow identified Daniel Jones as the guy that they want to go after when, Sam Darnold is out there after, a really solid season. Sam Darnold is doing great things with the Seahawks. They go with Danny Dimes, who was run out of New York, nearly cost Brian Dable his job.
Did, in all fairness, when it comes to it, he still lost his job. So he just didn't happen last year. But I mean, that's that context-wise, that led to this. We don't have to say the Saquon deal or whatever, but go ahead, please continue.
Sure. And now they identify right away, okay, Danny Dimes is who we're going with. Anthony Richardson, sorry, you're taking a seat. We're going with Daniel Jones, who nobody thought was the future, and is now Shane Steichen's got Daniel Jones playing lights out football. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor is having a phenomenal season, but it reminds me of what Ben Johnson did with Jared Goff. Kind of looks like what Shane Steichen might be doing with Daniel Jones right now. So like, that's also been like a remarkable turnaround after quarterback hell. I mean, that's a team that was in quarterback hell ever since Andrew Luck retired. And we talked about it on this show. You know exactly how the Colts feel about Daniel Jones because they're trading away first round picks to bring in Sauce Gardner. You don't trade away first round picks for a top tier cornerback if you think we need to draft a quarterback soon. If they weren't certain about Daniel Jones, they're probably keeping those first round picks to try and get a quarterback, to make a move for a quarterback. But instead they're rolling with Danny Dimes and bringing in Sauce Gardner. So, but again, this is kind of my point. One loss, things start to, not look as juggernautish as they had been, and he's fallen down the things. If the Bears lose to the Packers, guarantee you Ben Johnson ain't going to be second on that leaderboard anymore.
Okay, so let me push back. I got to push back on you.
Push back.
Because this helps with Mike Grable's argument and it helps with Ben Johnson's argument. I think the coach that wasn't there during the disaster gets the benefit of the doubt also. So like you said, Shane Steichen was on a hot seat. And regardless, and I want to add this too, and someone who probably still should have been a Bears general manager, right? Even though he hasn't had success. And Chris Ballard's on a hot seat too, right?
Yeah,
with the young Irsay women running the organization now. And I forget the name of the daughter that's on the sidelines all the time. It seems like she knows she has her finger on the pulse. But they had to find someone that can rescue them. And the problem now, because you said that as far as Daniel Jones playing lights out, that fractured fibula is taken away from him being able to plant his foot while he's throwing, but also his maneuverability. Like that, taken from someone who had him on his fantasy team. Man, I need those touchdowns that he got with his feet. He's kind of an athletic guy out there, So that I think adds to why Steichen is kind of pushed down, because he's been there through the failures. You know what I'm saying? Compared to these guys who seem like they're spraying the greatest perfume over what happened prior to their arrival. So I think that's the context of why he may not be as high, Alex, as you would desire. I still think your argument is a good argument, but he has been there through some of the struggles. And again, I'm saying that as someone who didn't think Richardson should have been drafted where he was drafted, and he shouldn't have started. That's prime sit them sometimes. Like, you do not have to play every rookie quarterback all the time. A year, just even if it's just a season. So you can sit them one season like Patrick Mahomes and give them time to be evaluated and see how a professional quarterback does the job and how to go about doing their business in the pros, particularly if they didn't have enough time to study under someone and play, let alone play in college. And again, not taking a shot at Anthony Richardson, but he will be looking for probably a new place to perform when he returns next season or whatever. All right.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we get into the game, I want to ask you this. And you mentioned about Ben Johnson holding his players accountable. Ben Johnson came out and he was talking about after the Bears' victory, how they were winning in spite of their passing game. And then Tuesday rather, in the presser, he clarified that when he made that comment that it was easy to construe that he's not happy with Caleb's performance. And I'm paraphrasing, and he said that's not the case whatsoever. He continues to get better each and every week. I couldn't be more pleased with how he's played last week, and I know what the stats say, and throw those out. And the reason I was going to bring it up is because
you said that on the podcast right after the show because Kenneth Davis agreed. No, those were your words, Kenneth. You said that. You said throw the stats out. That was a great performance.
Yes, that's what. But I want to address it.
Astute observation. No, I'm giving you your flowers. Astute observation.
No, I know you. No. This is both of us. This is both of us because I want people, because I'm sure people like, man, people may not be feeling how we're feeling about in structure and how quickly the growth of Caleb. And yes, the completions aren't there. And if you're an alarm by it, I'm not going to say, well, that's stupid, you're an alarm by it. I would just say, I think it will be remedied because I was worried, would he grow? And I see the growth. So I think that will follow maybe this season, but definitely going into next season. Because at one point I'm like, is it going to click in this kid? And is it going to be late? And it's clicking these last few weeks. And I just want to address that with you, as far as perhaps me and you are too in on what he's been doing compared to when you look at the fact that he's last in the league in completions.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I was aligned with you last week. I remain aligned with you now. The stats are the stats, right? But there's a lot beyond the box score there, right? Do the completions need to pick up? Yeah, they do. There are absolutely cases where Caleb Williams can be more accurate, and he certainly missed throws. And, we're not glossing over those. But there are times when his receivers have let him down by dropping the ball, and I know drops happen, and they happen to every quarterback. But there are also times when guys just simply aren't on the same page, and that simply comes with reps. That simply comes with playing games. That simply comes with running routes against certain leverages and making different decisions based on what the defense gives you. And the more they do that, the more they get on the same page, the more they're going to connect. And I do think, and we mentioned this after the game, so if you haven't listened, listen to our show after the Black Friday game, that to me, and I think to us, Kenneth, it looked like some of those incompletions are good balls thrown with good anticipation, but because not everything is just so, because not everybody is 100% on the details, and sometimes that might be Caleb Williams. Sometimes that might be Caleb Williams not being 100% on the details. That's when those little differences can lead to incompletions. But what is encouraging, as you said, I think it's the encouraging stuff is more encouraging than the discouraging stuff. And the encouraging stuff is seeing him go through his progressions quickly. The encouraging stuff is seeing him throwing balls to spots, not waiting for guys to get open, right? It is probably unfair, but it's the last quarterback, and it's the last quarterback people were hyped about. That is something that Justin Fields really struggled with his entire time here, was throwing the ball before guys got open.
Right.
Justin Fields didn't really like to challenge the ball in like super tight spots. Caleb Williams does that all the time. He'll throw tough balls in small windows. So that stuff is really encouraging. And the being a little bit off here or there, I believe that's the stuff that will come along simply with reps, simply with these guys playing more games together, having more practices together. Again, we have to continue to say this is the first season with Ben Johnson. It took them a while. Exactly.
Last year was trash, and some of us, we said it on here. He didn't learn anything last year. Everybody, outside of the speed of the league, he reinforced his bad habits that he had in college, and probably picked up some more to stay alive in the league, without having someone to kind of teach him on what not to do. So Ben Johnson is undoing a lot. You know what I'm saying? So add that into the equation, and again, if it doesn't improve, and again, let's say this too: very few quarterbacks go from being inaccurate and become accurate. Now, I will say this: in that Lamar, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen draft, I was a Josh Allen proponent. I thought he should have been the one, and he improved. That doesn't mean I can put that and apply that on Caleb, and the same thing will happen. But I think Ben Johnson will I think having Ben Johnson should lead you to think he's going to get closer to that than staying at what the medium is right now. The media is right now. So again, my opinion, hold me to it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think the Bears quarterback will improve. And I was a person that was worried about it too. I'm not just a Caleb Kool-Aid drinker. If something doesn't look right, I have to own up and be like, yo, that doesn't look right. I'm concerned if he's going to be able to take it to a next level. And now I feel a lot better about that he's going to be able to take it to another level. All right. The Bears are traveling to Green Bay in the afternoon, the second afternoon game. All right. I don't know what the weather is going to be. I should have checked that out. I'm cold. I was going to say, I'm sure from what we've gotten here, it's going to be extremely cold. But I mean, they play in Chicago, so it's not like they're a team that plays in the South and they're coming up to the North and they didn't know, or they haven't played and practiced in those type of conditions. And I know the Bears practice in the bubble, but you get what I mean. Green Bay is, believe, fourth in yards given defensively. And I think they're eighth in touchdowns given. That defense is playing pretty well. It's playing a lot more recently, like people believe they were going to play after trading for Michael Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys. And we're in one of those rosy Jordan Love areas where he's playing well too. You know what I'm saying? Jordan can fluctuate a little bit, even though he's mad talented. He still hasn't perhaps lived up to the reputations of the last two quarterbacks that have helmed the Green Bay Packers in Favre and Aaron Rodgers. But your thoughts on the Bears taking on the Packers? They're going to face the Packers again in 2 weeks after playing the Browns. This could really set the tone for who's going to win the division. So the Bears at least have to split, but we're talking about this upcoming game there before they come here to Soldier Field. Your thoughts on what we should expect with the Bears traveling to Green Bay, Alex?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You nailed it talking about the defense off the top. Pretty sure a top 5 defense or top 6. So in points allowed, they're 6th. So really good. And they also have a top 10 offense in points scored. They're 10th. So 10th scoring offense and 6th scoring defense. That's a stout team. That is a stout team. Now, so yeah, obviously it's going to be a huge challenge, right? Huge challenge, hostile environment. Fortunately for the Bears, they won their last year. Caleb Williams has already gotten that winning feeling in Lambeau Field, which we know is a spot for him. Dude grew up modeling his game after Aaron Rodgers, loved watching Aaron Rodgers, all of that stuff. So I'm sure winning in Lambeau meant a lot to him. So that's out of the way. That's good. They've already done that. The team, though, is very good. Micah Parsons is obviously a problem. What I think might be really a problem is Jordan takes really good care of the football. Now, Jalen Hurts does the same thing, and Kevin Byard managed to pick Jalen Hurts off, right? But Jordan Love has only thrown 3 interceptions this year. So the Bears need to find a way to replicate that, to coax a guy who does not turn the ball over to turn the ball over again, because that is the key. This Bears team, it really just seems like if they can take the ball away, they are setting themselves up for success. So how can the Bears do that? How can the Bears get Jordan Love to give them the football, or how can they get the ball on the ground? That's up to them to figure out. But what is good is that the Packers run game has not been it's been effective, but not explosive. So check this out. They have just 2 runs over 20 yards this year. Just 2 runs over 20 yards. That's 30th in the league. And then no runs over 40 yards. So if the Bears, and this was key against the Eagles. It's basically just follow that Eagles game plan again. It's how you beat the Packers. If they can keep the Packers out of 3rd and shorts, that 3rd down defense has been pretty solid for the Bears. So if they can do that, if they can bottle up that running game, keep them in 3rd and longs, get off the field, force a couple of turnovers, and then run the ball real well, that's how, in my opinion, the Bears win this game. It's the same way they've been winning all their football games. They found their identity. That's what's great.
Now they lost.
Get in there.
This isn't an apples to apples comparison, but they did lose to the Eagles, 10-7 in a low scoring game. And there were questions about the Pack then, and the Packs have played better right now. Let me look at it. They have won their last 3 games, even though the only team worth a damn they played was the Lions. Giants and the Vikings don't count, unfortunately. You're also talking about a top 10 team when it comes to rushing yards allowed, which again is that's the Bears' bread and butter. So listen, on paper, it wouldn't surprise me if the Bears lost. And I know this is going to piss people off because I'm supposed to be on here like, we winning it all. And I mean, partially, and I'm only saying this because I believe the Bears can beat anybody. And that's crazy coming out of my mouth, right? I believe the Bears can beat anybody within the NFL. I swear to you, I believe that. It's not a shock anymore. It's like, yeah, they can do it. They have, going back to what Alex said earlier in the coaching, the vote for coach of the year, on paper, look at what they got. I mean, if they had one more edge rusher, we'd be saying they better beat everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'd be like, yo, they better. If the linebackers were healthy with an edge rusher, we'd be crazy in this city. But the Packers are hot right now. The Bears are hot too. But the Packers are living in their truth because this is what they were supposed to be doing. One, we've said this for years, and I know some of you may not have followed us on the Under Center podcast, but we were asking for the Bears to flip so they can catch up to what the Lions and the Packers were doing, right? And it was like, yo, they're rearming, and we're going to be late. And we see what the Lions have been and the Packers have been, and the Lions haven't been they've still been good, but they haven't been as well as we would have expected. But you're also talking about our Packer teams that traded for Micah Parsons, similar to like when the Bears traded for Khalil Mack and the hype train. And mind you, the Packers were already on the way. The Bears weren't on their way when they traded for Khalil Mack. The Packers were already a team that people viewed as one of the better teams within the NFC, let alone in the league. So that is kind of, you add all of that up, this is going to be a rough matchup. It's a matchup that they can win. Alex pointed out last game of the year, the Bears went up there and they beat them. Caleb got the victory. The season didn't taste as bad at the end of the season because they had that to kind of encapsulate the season and to take them into the offseason. It was good that Virginia McCaskey got to see that before she passed on. So again, as Alex said, they have to do everything they did last week. I'll give you my pros and my cons. My con is the Packers have a better passing game and a better receiving core. For some odd reason, the last 30 years, as we talk about the Green Bay's quarterbacks from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, one thing we don't talk about, they've always got a damn wide receiver room for some reason. Like, they just have 4 guys that can just catch, like, all the time. Like, we could go from Sterling to Roberts to Freeman to Jordy. Donald Driver, Nelson. I mean, I said Jordy. They've already. So you got Christian Watkins, whatever, you know his
Christian
name.
Watson.
Watson, who I wanted the Bears to get and who's always hurt, is balling right now. Dobbs is always balling. You know, like they always got something going on with
Tucker Kraft, tight end.
I was about to say Tucker Kraft. Yeah, like, dude, so that is a plus and a con on the Bears, but the plus is the Bears are just snatching the ball out of the sky. You know, like, in some ways, it gives more opportunities for them to get a turnover because the Packers are going to put the ball in play compared to, even like you said, that Hurts is similar to Jordan Love and not turning over the ball, but Jordan Love's going to put that ball in play a lot more. And Aaron Rodgers throw that ball off of crazy platforms at times and not be, or I should say more Jay Cutler, off of crazy platforms and not be totally set. And again, he's been able to live with it and not turn the ball over. The fact that the Bears have, you look at what they did last week against the Eagles, against such a nasty defense, it tells me I think the Bears are going to be able to run on this defense. They're probably going to run at Micah Parsons. You know, like, they're going to try to do what they did to those DTs against the Eagles. So again, this game is a good game. I won't say it. Yeah, it is a barometer. Because last week was a barometer. This is another barometer, and it'll be interesting to see if the Bears can go on the road to Green Bay after going on the road to a nasty environment in Philadelphia and pull it off. Can they do it back-to-back weeks? I mean, if they pull this one off, it's Super Bowl Super Bears.
Buy your tickets. Buy your plane tickets.
I mean, listen. If they can take out two of the best teams in the NFC, right? I mean, they didn't just sneak by the Eagles last week. They browbeat them. So
if they beat the Packers this week, yeah, like, we're about to get really reckless on this podcast. We're about to talk really reckless.
Talking shit all day. All right. Are we giving scores? What do you want to do before we get out of here?
Sure, let's give scores. I think we should also just give a quick injury update. So right before we start recording this podcast, the Bears had their Thursday injury report. Something to note: 2 DNPs for Rome Odunze. That will hurt this team. Rome Odunze is obviously, like, he's developed into the wide receiver one. If he's not out there, that hurts the offense. That's more eyeballs on DJ Moore. Right, and that will just necessarily slow things down. So that is something to absolutely keep an eye on. What's great news for this team is that TJ Edwards turned into limited practices. So if he's able to get on the field again, if he's able to be healthy enough to play, now you're talking about this defense that is playing really well. It's getting one of its best players back. TJ Edwards has done nothing but rack up tackles. He's been really, really solid, no matter where really they put him on the field. So that will help a lot, especially as we talk about, stuffing that Packers run game and getting the Packers in 3rd and longs. TJ Edwards should help work towards that goal. So a little bit of bad news on the injury front for Bears fans, a little bit of good news though as well. Anything on that with you, Kenneth, before we go?
No,
scores?
I think TJ Edwards coming back and having a stud on that second level. And I mean, when it comes to tackling, he's a stud. I mean, he has his limitations perhaps in the passing game, but I mean, he has been one of their best defenders over the last 3 seasons. I think it benefits them. And you think about the fact that, you got, you had Kyler Gordon come back last week, and how that further alleviates some of the pressure on some of the other defenders. I think Rome will play, though. I was going to say that. I think they're being, I could be wrong. I wonder, I just believe that they're like, you know what? Let's let him have the week off and let him just run on, let him get out there. There's no reason. Because even if he's just out there to be a decoy, to your point, as far as, and then if he can't go, come on, bring ass out of there. And I could be wrong. This is just how I feel. This isn't that I know I don't have any inside information on that. I just feel that could be what takes place. So I'll give you my score. I'm going to go with the Bears. I think it's going to be Bears. And it's going to be 3 points Bears. So it's going to be like 24, Pack 24, Bears 27, or something like the Bears 30 and the Pack 27. Or it's going to be a tight window. And I think the Pack, I would say this, and this may be just from my blood pressure. I would say the Pack are going to be close to tying it or close to winning the game at the end. And the Bears are going to be able to starve them out, save them off. Or because I know if it's Caleb coming down to win the game and Caleb wins the game in Green Bay at the last couple of minutes,
they're gonna start contracting statues already.
The contract will be on the field.
If you are a bronze worker in the city of Chicago, get ready.
Good one. All right, Alex, your score before we get out of here.
Oh, I'm so torn. You know what, Kenneth? The vibes are right now. The vibes are high.
King.
Can I just ride with the vibes real quick?
Ride with the vibes.
I want to ride with the vibes. Bears 28. Green Bay Packers 20. A nice 8-point victory. I'm just riding with the vibes. Sue me.
This, first of all, there's nothing wrong with this vibe riding because they've proven it. Like, there's no reason for us to be on here murky dismal when they beat the crap out of the Eagles last week, right? Like, there's no logic out. No, this is logic. It's not even logic out the window. This has rational thought and logic involved in it. They've done it against the world champs. So it's not this improbable they can do it against Green Bay, who hasn't won jack.
And it's the same script. They can follow the same script.
Right.
The script they followed to beat the Eagles should work against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, and look, and one thing they didn't have last year was this offensive line. Like, so yeah, Green Bay got some guys up front, but the Bears have some guys now. Like, let's just be honest. They have one of the better offensive lines.
Is also kind of banged up. That Packers D-line is kind of banged up. So the Bears are banged up. Packers are banged up too.
It's a lot of
Devontae Wyatt, DNP, Lucas Van Ness.
Your guy.
Who, my guy from like 9 seasons ago. It feels like it was 9 seasons ago. Banged up. So they're banged up as well.
All right, everybody. Make sure after the game, you make sure you tune in to us here at the Windy City Podcast on Fansided, provided to you by Fansided, I should say. Alex and I will be here to go over the Bears' victory. We will be in victory formation. Victory or loss, but victory over the Green Bay Packers. We always appreciate you taking the time out to hang out with us here on the Windy City Podcast, and we will see you Sunday. Have a good one.